Will the defendant please stand? Kempton Bunton, you were charged that on the 21st of March 1961, you stole from the National Gallery a priceless portrait of the Duke of Wellington.
So about the Duke, it's a period drama and it's based on a real story. How do you feel the story and the movie is relevant to the contemporary times?
I think it's very relevant. There's an awful lot of the issues in the film that are still, unfortunately, very current. There's an awful lot of fuel poverty and child poverty. There's an awful lot to fight against now and still to protest about and make presence felt. And Kempton is very much at the front of that and making his voice heard. The government here is slightly trying to reduce the effectiveness of the BBC, and Kempton, ironically, would be, I'm sure, now fighting to preserve that rather than against it. But because I think he's essentially anti-establishment, and I think he would be appalled what the establishment is trying to do.
Well, he's been called an activist or a professional campaigner. You even said at some interview that you find him infuriating in some terms. So I wonder, how did you prepare for the role? Were there any recordings that you were able to study, or maybe was it just the script and the direction that allowed you to fully
It was the script and the direction, of course, and there was no recordings available. One or two photographs, but the writers, Richard and Clive, had obviously done a huge amount of research and looked into everything they could find. So there was nothing for me to do, really. It was following what they had done. I had my personal challenge to work on the Geordie accent, the accent of the Northeast, which is very specific. Which didn't come absolutely naturally to me, so I had quite a lot of work on the dialect. But it was so beautifully written, the whole piece, that I just followed that and trusted that.
Well, the movie is tonally somewhere between the British Ealing comedies from the 50s and also the gritty new wave films that came slightly afterwards. So did you watch some of the movies from that period, from that time, to prepare yourself?
No, but it did. I remember specifically at the moment during the filming, and I thought, this has got an Ealing comedy quality. And it hadn't been, I mean, that was well into the filming, and it hadn't been discussed with Roger or the producers or anything, but I think organically it became, this has some of that, those elements of the Ealing comedy, the little man fighting against the system, and the gentle humour, and it was old-fashioned in a way, but actually, because of who we are and who Roger was, it was given a very much a contemporary look.
How did you plead?
Not guilty.
Yes! For those unfamiliar with court proceedings, that was the plea, not the verdict.